Welcome to Rockman 101, a class where you will know how to build a Rockman rack with absolutely no pain at all. As you can see behind me, we have a Rockman rack. From top to bottom, we're using a Nady wireless 3D VHF. We have two MIDI octopuses. We have a guitar compressor, a distortion generator, Sustainor 1 and Sustainor 2, both with their own respective loop equalizers. We have a Rockman Smart Gate, a post-chorus Rockman equalizer, the Rockman Stereo Chorus Delay Module, the Stereo Chorus, and the Rockman Stereo Echo, all going into an EBTech line level shifter. That all is routed into a BBE Sonic Maximizer 362, and it's all amplified by a DCM 1000. That's a Carbon DCM 1000. What we'd like to do is take you through some different presets, different combinations of sounds that you can get from building a rack like this. Preset number 1 is basically the clean sound. This is using our first Sustainor with a loop EQ. The clean sound is a thinner, metallic-y electrical sound that you can get maybe from a Stratocaster or a Telecaster, contrary to the fatter sound that you'd get from a Les Paul. You notice there's a little bit of dirt or a little bit of grit in the signal. That's because I'm using the semi-clean, which is located right here on the Sustainor. You'll also notice that we're using a loop EQ below it. One thing I want to point out is because this loop EQ is in the Sustainor effects loop, when you bypass this Sustainor, you're also bypassing this loop EQ. So there isn't a need to use the foot switch control on this equalizer, because it's basically in the same setup or in the same configuration with this Sustainor. The second preset I'd like to talk about is Clean 2. Clean 2 is basically a natural sounding, as far as equalization, it's a natural sounding EQ, very similar to the acoustic guitar pedal. Basically, the Clean 2 was the precursor to the acoustic guitar pedal, where SR&D later said, well, why don't we just put this circuit into a pedal, and they called it the acoustic guitar pedal. Using an equalizer in the loop, you're able to kind of beef up the lows a little bit, kind of scoop out the mids, get a nice natural sound. Third preset I'd like to talk about is the Edge mode. This mode is found in our second Sustainor with its respective loop EQ. One thing about the Edge is it doesn't have the distortion harmonics, the number of distortion harmonics that the distortion mode contains. However, some guys don't care for the distortion. It's a little bit too much over the top. So the Edge gives just a really good blues tone, good for blues playing without being so heavy. The next preset I'd like to talk about is the distortion mode, and this first distortion mode that I showcase contains the rhythm volume control on the Sustainor, which is located right here, as you can see by the LED. The rhythm volume is basically a foot switch control that drops the volume of the guitar so that you can have a difference between your rhythm modes and when you're soloing. You'll also notice too that on both Sustainors that I'm using, we're using the phase notcher. I use the phase notcher on each one, and as you can see, I've got the frequency notcher almost all the way down to the bottom on both, whether I'm using clean or distortion. So this again is the distortion mode.